Hello and welcome to Tales from the Delves. We've all heard the stories about saving the world, defeating Daedra, fighting back dragons, and dynasties rising and falling. But these are not the only stories in Tamriel. This series will explore the stories often forgotten in the grand history. Stories that time may forget but still deserve to be shared. Now, some may think I have taken a few creative liberties with these stories, but they are mostly somewhat factual. Now, as for me, my name is Rufus. Just like many young boys in our failing farming village growing up, my father lost me gambling on the Alkir lizard races. 2 months later, on my 7th birthday, I was swiftly sold to the Shadow Path cultists. When the cultists discovered my natural ability for magic, they assigned me to become our head ritualist's apprentice. Things were going great. We even had a fun game of tag we played whenever I tried to go out exploring on my own. However, before I could finish my training, our camp was raided by a group of brutal adventurers sent by the Fighters Guild. They sorted through the bodies, taking what gold and treasures they could find. And apparently, rescuing the captured children meant opening the door to our rooms and telling us we were free, and then promptly leaving. So with my new family dead and no direction for my life, I traveled to the nearest city, Wayrest, hoping to find some guidance. Luckily, while in Wayrest, I met a kind old Khajiit named Rashir, who ran with a traveling festival. He at one time had been the main attraction, but as he aged, he settled into a sideshow fortune teller. Rashir took me on as an apprentice, and we spent the next 7 years traveling the world, from Glenumbra to Telvanni. When Rashir was ready to retire and I was finally old enough to set out on my own, I assured him I was ready to face the world. We went our separate ways, knowing our bond would always keep us connected. I went and joined the Mages Guild, mostly working in the field as a research and response apprentice. We spent our weeks investigating reports of Daedric activity and interesting artifacts. After working my way up in the Mages Guild and seeing no further promotion beyond grunt labor, I set out to make a name for myself. I joined a group of adventurers exploring and clearing out every cave, ruin, and dungeon we could find. We were living out our dreams and starting to make quite a name for ourselves, even becoming quite wealthy. That's when our quirky rogue Polly went a little bit too rogue and got tied up in an alleged skooma smuggling operation. With a major scandal rocking our team, we tried to rally and looking back, maybe claiming we were all part of the smuggling wasn't the best decision. When all the legal mess was over, we had to go our separate ways, poor and disgraced. But if anything, life has taught me that there's always another opportunity right around the corner. Now, I will say when gambling, I do recommend that you at least have some idea how to play the game. But I've never been one to turn down a challenge, and a strange man in High Isle challenged me to a game of, I believe he called it Tot. Now, Tot is nothing like Go Fish. So after learning I was not very good at Tot, I was down to my last few pieces of gold. I decided to do what all failed celebrities do and apply to star in a reality play. I made my audition tape and showed off my best rendition of Red Diamond. Apparently my mask doesn't promote the sexy vibe they were going for. I guess I did skip over my mask. You know, when you're going through those initiation classes and they tell you not to put on any of the artifacts you find, I was always taught by the cultists you never know what power a Daedric artifact holds until you're wearing it. However, this mask seems to be holding only one power. No matter where I went, I knew exactly where Kalia was. Now, if you're wondering who Kalia was, apparently her husband thought she might be seeing other men behind his back. So he traded control of his town to Malakath for this mask to always be able to see where she was, no matter how far away. Now, truthfully, I am a bit fuzzy on how a high elf in Telvanni came to work out a deal involving love and jealousy with Malakath, but who am I to ask such questions? I am pleased to say no one has desecrated her grave in the 1400 years since she passed, and I still know right where she lay. I have not figured out exactly how that will help me, but fate wouldn't have brought me into contact with this mask if I wasn't supposed to be wearing it. Anyways, alone and broke, I went to drink my sorrows away, and after a few bottles of mead, I began telling any stranger that would listen tales from all my adventures. And then it hit me. Maybe adventuring was just a part of my life, and now I was meant to share my stories. And maybe not just my stories. A funny thing happened. As I shared, people started telling me their own tales, and where I had seeked to travel to learn culture and history, maybe the culture and history was right here. Maybe what I was seeking wasn't to live out my own adventures until a troll was using my femur as a toothpick, but maybe they were there to spark my own curiosity. For as long as I can remember, I wanted to see the whole world, but looking back, that's all I saw, never taking time to appreciate where I was at that very moment and what brought the people, not kings, queens, great wizards, or mighty warriors, but the unassuming and common citizen to where they were at that very moment. So I hope you'll be back and join me as we explore stories from every corner of Tamriel. Thank you for coming, and I look forward to sharing our next adventure.